I'm James Williams Jr. Welcome to Kung Fu Havoc number 2. Okay, so this is my final outside video for now, unless I can get someone to volunteer to actually be a demonstration helper, unlike my niece who epically failed. When it comes to martial arts, I've been watching a lot of martial arts videos, and I mean I've been watching a lot. I've been watching a ton of videos, an FT of videos. And the thing with martial arts is that everyone misconstrues a lot of it. Alright? And I say that because here's the hardcore facts. Every martial art has a strength and a weakness. And every martial art basically stemmed from Kung Fu. Alright? Now, depending on what Asian country and what Asian culture you respect, love, and come from, you will tell me a different story. Okay? You will tell me a different story because it's the only story that you know, providing on which race or Asian culture in which you come from, with the exception of the martial arts that did not originate in Asia, which is capoeira from Brazil, and lambada from Jamaica, which is black martial arts that are from slaves. Which goes back to that ancient argument of the hieroglyphics in Egypt being the first martial arts to ever exist versus what China has done with Shaolin Kung Fu, and Japan has done with karate, Korea has done with Taekwondo and Kempo, Philippines and Kali, even Laos has a martial art. I don't remember what it's called because I didn't think that Laos had a martial art to take, but Laos is on the ass end of Vietnam and Cambodia and stuff like that. So even though they may be a poor country, they still have a self-defense system. I'm still doing research on that. So when it comes to martial arts, the majority of martial arts hails out of Asia. And by Asia, I mean places like Mongolia, China, Japan, North and South Korea, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, North and South, Jakarta or Indonesia, and Malaysia, as well as Samoa, as well as the Fiji Islands, which is questionable between it being a Samoan territory or African territory. And martial arts can be found around the world in places such as New Zealand, because some Samoans actually were there along with original Aborigines, which also had a martial art. And as far as Brazil and capoeira is more non-Asian martial arts. Alright? However, that does not mean that it did not come out of Egyptian hieroglyphics, since most Brazilian and Jamaicans were slaves. Alright? So with slavery came some blessings and some curses at the same time. Alright? And with martial arts, the history of martial arts leaves out a FT of it. Now, there will always be the debate on Egypt versus China, since the first known record in the world to date has been found in Egypt. And as I said earlier in the other video, Egypt in Africa has been proven to be the start of where all life amongst man has began. No one knows anything about the animals except for like Tanzania and all the other imaginary things that they call Earth before it split into the continents and before man ever walked it. So when you're talking about a martial art, anyone specifically, some of them come with legends and some of them do not. If capoeira or lambada has legends, I don't know of them because I'm not a capoeira or lambada or Brazilian jiu-jitsu enthusiast. I really don't like them. I only learned them so that I can combat them if I happen to go against a capoeira specialist or a lambada specialist. I need to be able to go with them so that they don't beat my ass. That's pretty much the only reason why I took whatever lessons I took for that. Same thing with judo, same thing with jiu-jitsu, same thing with everything that I've ever learned. I only took it to learn how to combat it. Because you are technically combating the martial artist himself, you are also combating his martial art. You can beat the martial artist by being able to beat the odds and ends of his martial art in which he studied. That will also come off as some of the basis for Jeet Kune Do. I have never taken a I have never taken Bruce Lee's martial art of Jeet Kune Do because they've never offered a JKD class here in Virginia, or at least in my hemisphere of Virginia. I have never looked into a paper and said, oh, but we're offering free Jeet Kune Do classes. Or we're offering Jeet Kune Do for this much a month. I've never done that. I've taken some self-defense classes, and I've taken some martial art classes, and I've beaten black belts. So that being said, my credibility is right there, and if you don't believe my credibility, that's fine. I've also been military trained. This is not just an Army shirt that I bought from an Army Surplus shirt. Y'all see my dog tags, you see my cat card, but we can give you a refresher course so that you know my Army training is legit. That's my conehead ugly ass without hair. And here's my veterans card, looking like it could be using a new one. I may have to call them about that. This is my college card, just so that you guys can see my college ID. And yes, I need a shave. But anyway, moving on. When I was in the Army, we learned Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Hand to God, sucked at it. Can't do it to this day. Alright? Now there are some Shaolin techniques for you to fight while you are on the ground. So don't be discouraged if you're like me and you suck at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Alright? Now, I'm one of those people, I use what works. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu does not work for me. So I'm fighting a guy who does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and he's establishing dominance by putting me in arm locks and hooks and stuff like that. I got to adapt, and I got to adapt fast. So first rule is, as a fighter for me, I have one rule, and one rule specifically that I believe in and that I will stand by until I die. You're not getting me on the ground. You're going to fight my fight, and that's all to that. I'm not going to fight your fight. You're going to fight mine. And if you can't adapt to my adaptation, you're going to lose. If I can't adapt to your adaptation, I'm going to lose. The difference maker is you're going to have to kill me. Okay? There's not too many fighters that live like that. A lot of people are good sports at losing. I'm okay with losing. I just don't like it. Which is why I say, and anybody who's ever sparred with me will tell you, you're going to have to kill me. If it's a real fight, you're going to have to kill me to stop it. Because I'm thinking the same thing that you're thinking. I got to stop this guy, come hell or high water. But I'm thinking on a different level than you because I've been doing this since I was 6 years old. And so, with all due respect to everyone out there, a 6-year-old kid with knowledge can be very dangerous. But a 7-year-old kid with a bloodlust for Kung Fu and knowledge is lethal. And I don't like to poster myself as an evil person completely because we all have some evil in us. But I like to poster myself as an honest person. And honestly, you know, in my 20s and my 30s, I was exceptionally cocky. After coming out of the military, I'm not exceptionally cocky. I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. And I don't give a damn. You know? Because if it's you or me, it's going to be you before it's me. That's just the way I see it. And if you catch me sleeping, okay, I deserve that ass whooping. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to catch me sleeping. Now, when I make my films, or in my case, when I made my films, I'm overly polite, okay? And the reason I'm overly polite is because I know that without the fans, I don't get to eat. I don't get to live the wonderful dream that I'm trying to achieve, and I don't want everyone to pass me off as a dick. I'll be the first to tell you, I can be an asshole, but I'm not 100% a dick, alright? Now, the other thing is, because I admitted that I am an asshole, I'm your kind of asshole. And that's why people do like me. Because I'm an honest asshole that tell it like it is. I call it like I see it. And if you ask me a question, and if you can handle the whole 1,000, I'm going to give it to you. But if I know you can't handle but 99.9, I'm going to give you that. Because the thing about lying is you have to work exceptionally hard at keeping the damn thing going. Where you just tell the truth, you get the shit over with. Feelings will be hurt, but it's over with. It's done. You don't have to worry about it anymore because you said what needs to be said. I'm sorry, little bug, that I killed you, but you're interfering with my show. Anyway, if you tell the truth and get it over with, it's done. You have no worries, and everything goes by smoothly. But when you have to build a lie to keep a lie, to keep another lie, in Ascension, when you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, the only person you're really hurting is Peter. You know, because you're robbing him to pay Paul. It's logic there. But in the end, you're really robbing yourself, because if both of those guys team up on you, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and you're a dead man. Kung Fu has lots of principles like that. They have a lot of principles we rarely follow, okay? Because just like in Star Wars, you have the Jedis and you have the Sith. And who's to say, initially, that the Sith are wrong? Who's to say the Jedi is wrong? It's really all a point of view. You know, and points of view is everything. My point of view is to try to do the right thing come hell or high water, because one, I'm 45 years old, I haven't told a lie since I was 12, and I'm too old to try to cover up all the other crap that comes around. And a lie is a vicious cycle that will end, but it will take forever as the clock dials around and around. And eventually the clock will stop when the truth comes out, and then you're kind of stuck dealing with that bag that you created by insisting on lying about it. I have not lied about my hip. It's damaged, it's screwed up. I've showed you guys the scars. I've showed you some moves in another video now that I'm totally limited. I am down to 50% of my arsenal now. And by saying that, the reason why it's 50% versus 70-30, because this side of my body still functions the way it did before my hip replacement. Because this hip needs to be replaced, it hasn't been replaced. This hip has been replaced. I'm in pain most of the time, but it's tolerable pain. And I also know that here's how reality works. If I'm to get into a fight right now, I can almost guarantee you that 50% of the arsenal that I can't use is back out the window. It's not off the table. That shit's right back on the table, because when you're in dire straits, you will be surprised at the things that you can accomplish when your life is in danger. Now, I was told this by a master sergeant down at Fort Benning when I was getting discharged. And I had explained to them about my knees and everything, because we didn't know how bad my knees was, because Fort Benning dropped the ball. When I got to McGuire and they told me the following message, I came up with a song called Dying Every Day, because I had to do a whole lot of thinking. I had to do a whole lot of soul searching. And my Kung Fu was about to be taken from me. Okay? It was literally about to be the worst news that I could ever get. So I'm at the doctor's for stomach pain, and they give me this crap to make me take a crap, because they thought, like I thought I had an ulcer. And so, I mean, the pain was really, really bad. It was like somebody pulling a brick out of my gut. And not just a cement brick, but like a huge piece of cement. Like if the parking lot part broke off, they were pulling that out. So, with the rebar attached. So I'm in excruciating pain. And I go there, they give me the stuff, and they're like, okay, we got bad news and we got worse news. I was like, so, is the ulcer going to kill me? And he said, oh, that's the good news. I was going to save that for last, but since you asked, you don't have an ulcer. I said, okay, now give me the worst news. So, son, here's how this works. You need an emergency hip replacement, and you need it yesterday. If you don't get this emergency hip replacement, you're going to have problems for the rest of your life, and you're never going to walk right, or if at all. So I took that okay. And then he goes, well, this is the second part of the worst news. You got to go get your wisdom teeth removed. If you don't get your wisdom teeth removed, you're going to die on the table. I said, but my teeth has nothing to do with my ass. And he goes, well, you know, here's how it works. The infection spreads when you're in surgery. And we have 3 jobs. We have to replace your hip. We have to put stuff in you that is not genetically natural to your body. And your body has to take this shit. And if it doesn't, you're going to lose a leg. So hearing that, as a martial artist, is really scary. And then hearing, if you don't get your teeth removed and the infection gets into your leg, it's going to kill you damn near instantly, so you're going to die on the table. So off I went on my journey of getting my wisdom teeth removed and getting the other piece of a tooth that was broken off taken out, because that was their main concern. My wisdom teeth were okay, but they weren't perfect, So they cut all the ones at the top and bottom out. All right. So then, just before Christmas, I had my hip replacement surgery, and the day after my hip replacement surgery, they had me up and walking. Then they were telling me, okay, this is what's going to happen now. You're going to be able to walk, but you're only going to be able to walk like maybe 50 feet. And you will never, ever, 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 ever do this again. You will never do this. You will never do this. This. You will never do any of that ever again. Your kung fu is done. You will never, ever be able to do a jumping spinning kick. You will never do a jumping spinning back kick, never do a jumping spin kick, never do a jumping spinning hook kick. You will never do everything that you could do before you walk into the Army's doors. You're 41 years old. And your life, I hadn't turned 41 yet, but I was about to. Or maybe I did turn 41, I'm not sure. Let's see. My dad's been dead for 4 years. I had the surgery 2 months before he died. So yeah, I've had surgery going on 4 or 5 years, something like that. My dad died 4 years ago. I had the surgery, basically, it's not 5 years, but it's like 4 years and 2 months. Because my dad died right after I had the surgery. I had the surgery and then the new year came. And 2 months after the new year, he died in March. So yeah. So 3 months after New Year's technically, because New Year's is in January. I had my surgery in December. January came, February came, March came, he died. And that was 4 years ago, starting this year actually. So for 4 years and some change, I hadn't been able to do martial arts. I hadn't been able to jog. I hadn't been able to ride a bike. I hadn't been able to go swimming. My life pretty much was screwed. And the doctors told me from the jump, all the martial arts, high flying, and everything that you've ever done, snake, crane, dragon, tiger, it's all over. Give it up. Can't do it. Picked up a bow and arrow, went back to my roots of Native Americanhood, and started taking my archery seriously. I used to be good at it as a child. I figured, well, as a grown man, I can't be any worse. I was wrong. I was much worse. I'm still bad at it. I'm out of practice. Bought a bunch of stuff. Need to get back into practicing. But for Kung Fu, it has always been my thing. It is the one thing that I've always been good at from day one. And with it, I hope to have made a living out of it. Sadly, things went wrong. I joined the Army, lost the use of my hip. Here we are. That's the long and short. When you take a martial art, this video is pretty long, so let me make a second video. Yeah, this video is long. We're going to make a second video